Welcome everyone. My name is Carly Gotz and I'm the Product and Marketing Manager for Botanica. And today I'm joined by gardening legend and botanical guide Judy Horton. Judy is well known for a garden radio program, for her work with Yates, updating 6 of their garden guides, and is the current editor of Our Gardens magazine. Today, I've asked her to talk to me about a very special destination, which is very close to home, Norfolk Island. So welcome, Judy. Tell me about your recent visit to Norfolk Island.
Oh, look, my first visit to Norfolk Island was just over a year ago. So it took me a long time to get there. And I was kind of not that sure whether I was really going. I had this vision of fields of kikuyu and cows and not much more. And I didn't really think it was going to be as interesting, certainly as horticulturally interesting as it was. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm dying to get back again.
Excellent. Tell me about some of the gardens that you visited on that trip.
Actually, the amazing thing about the gardens there is that because it's so limited with the amount of plant material that they can bring into Norfolk Island, the gardens there are really friendly. They have to be friendly gardens because they've got to be sharing plant material with each other all the time. But they're so colourful, they're so beautiful. They're subtropical, so lots of things like hibiscus and bromeliads and just really full, lush, showy plants. Some of them actually were rediscovering their native plants, which was nice to see because, you know, they've gone through that stage of thinking, oh, now we've got to get these exotics everywhere. So, and then some were growing food plants, and the rich soil and fairly reliable rainfall meant they had lots of success. I think really what was most impressive about it was the variety. In such a small area, the variety of gardens that we saw was just amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a small destination, really. The island is quite small, but there is such a richness to it. And so you were surprised by the plant variety that you found on the island?
Especially the native plants. Actually, I'm just going to obscure my face for a sec and show this book. Can you see that? As a book I bought, sneak around it. That's a book that I bought when I was there, and it's called Norfolk Island's Fascinating Flora. So absolutely so well named because really interesting. I mean, it's amazing when you go to those islands because some of the plants arrived by themselves, on the water. Some were brought by birds. Some have came as a certain variety of plant, and then they've adapted and become their own special plant as time's gone on. So, and then there's also just the history of the plants. I mean, the whole reason that Norfolk Island was settled is because when Captain Cook sailed there, he saw those big, tall Norfolk Island pines, which are dotted all over the island, more now, I think, than there were even back in those days. And he said, wow, ship's mast, which, of course, would be foremost in his mind. And the other thing that he saw that he'd seen in New Zealand was flax plants. And he knew that the Maoris in New Zealand used those for weaving. So he said, well, look, we've got these great ship's masts. We've got these fantastic flax plants. I better tell them back home about how important the plants are here. So that was really the main reason, apart from the fact that the first settlers in Australia wanted to beat the French to the island anyway. But the main reason was they thought they could go over there. And actually, Philip Gidley King sailed there just a few days after the first settlement in New South Wales. So, and it was the plants that took him there. But there's so many others, Carly. They're just amazing. The Norfolk Island hibiscus, which has got the most beautiful flowers and all sorts of ferns. What we call bird's nest ferns, of course, they have special names for everything, and I can never remember them. But the bird's nest ferns as understories are like we'd have grass and a lawn, you know, they're just absolutely covered. They're everywhere. So the plants and there's the wonderful, I didn't mention in the gardens, of course, is the national park that's there, which is so worth visiting too. So it's just horticulturally, it was really exciting. You can tell I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I need to go back again too, I think. And what stood out for you when you visited Norfolk, apart from the plant life?
Well, I think too it was the history. That history is, as I said, I kind of had some vague idea about the bounties and mutineers, and I knew about convicts, and really I didn't know much else. And it's a much more fascinating history than that. They've had a wave of Polynesians that came and then left, and you can see the remnants of one of the early Polynesian settlements that were there. They went, and then the first European settlers who came, as I said, just a few days after Philip arrived in Port Jackson. Then there was King going off, being told he had to go off, and they used a lot of Norfolk Island in those early days for growing crops. It was quite an important place for producing food. So that was fascinating as well. And then, of course, you've got the Pitcairn Islanders, the descendants of the mutineers on the Bounty, who were virtually given the right to go and move there, and two waves of convict settlements. So and these days that all blends together in this amazing conglomeration, really, of history and language. I mean, I just find it fascinating to go up and meet somebody and find that their surname is Christian. And of course, we've all heard of Fletcher Christian. We've all seen the movies, etc. And to know that these are descendants, and I can't remember the name of the family of the fellow that actually burnt the Bounty, but his descendants still get teased about being pyromaniacs because they wanted to get rid of the Bounty, so there was no evidence there that the English could find when they sailed to Pitcairn Island, you see, and so that's why this still to this day. So that's all so interesting, and just the skills and the fact that they've still got their own language, so that you can hear all these odd words that they use for. It's just the most amazing place, and set in this lush subtropical island. Oh, it's just beautiful.
And what are you looking forward to seeing on the Botanica trip that you're escorting next year?
Well, of course, I'm going to see gardens, more time in the national park, hopefully, but just going from one garden to the other, and those wonderful welcomes that those gardeners give you when you arrive, and they tell you about the difficulties that they face. You know, they can't just pop down to the nearest garden centre. There's no big bees there on the island where you can go and buy your goods for the garden. So as I mentioned before, it's such a lovely sharing feeling about being a gardener there. So I'm looking forward to catching up with the gardeners and just comparing the differences and contrasting the differences of the different types of gardens that are there, the understory gardens, the ones that go off into the wild bush, the ones that have large productive gardens. The variety in that small area is amazing. It's just beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining me, Judy. It was really fascinating. And if you would like more information about travelling to Norfolk Island with Judy next year, please visit our website at www.botanica.travel. Thanks for joining us.